Pokemon Horizons Episode 4 released earlier today, and I'm here to give my review. So let's get into it. This episode is titled The Treasure That Washed Ashore, and the summary is when the Rising Volt Tacklers blimp breaks down and makes an emergency landing on a remote island in the Kanto region, the ship's Pokemon, Fuecoco, ends up disappearing without anyone noticing. Liko and Sprigatito disembark on the island in order to search for it. Meanwhile, a boy living on the island, Roy, spots a mysterious Pokemon he's never seen before. This summary is sourced from PocketMonsters.net, specifically from Adamant. So in this episode, we're formally introduced to Roy. I really like his introduction. It reminds me a lot of Ash being eager to go on an adventure. He's not a trainer yet, and he's never been off the island before. Meanwhile, with Liko, we see her getting a job being lookout on the ship, with her also receiving her main outfit in this episode. We really get to see her become more comfortable with the people on the ship. And I like that. I see compared to how she was in the first few episodes, she's really becoming, comfortable with the crew, and I like to see that. So the catalyst of this episode comes from a problem with the ship. It's forcing them to land on the island where Roy lives on, and Fuecoco ends up going missing, with it eventually running into Roy and them having a heart-to-heart. Fuecoco's singing is a big part of the episode. It's introduced Liko's lookout job. She sees it singing, and it ends up going crazy. Like, whenever a human sees it singing, it ends up running off. It's shy. It does this with Roy at first, but Roy ends up getting a hold of it, and he's like, "It's okay, you could sing around me. I like your singing." So anyway, Liko and Sprigatito go looking for it when a group of bug Pokemon chase after them because of their food stash being gone. Liko ends up running into Roy, and he saves her from the Pokemon, and they have a talk. With this talk, it reveals that Roy's mysterious Pokeball it's been talked about in promotional material. It's called an ancient Pokeball. It's an ancient Pokeball that was given to him by his grandfather. But he thinks there's nothing in it because it won't open. I think there's something in it. It's gonna come up. There's probably something in it, or something, it's gonna be important. It's not gonna just be nothing. There's something in it. Liko's pendant and his Pokeball also glow at the same time, so I'm thinking they're connected in some way, probably. Speaking of Roy's grandfather, him and Freed are revealed to know each other, with him going by to ask for help in repairing his ship, but he doesn't help them because they're on bad terms. I wonder why that happened. We'll probably get that backstory in a later episode soon. He's also revealed to be a professor in this episode, with him he doesn't like being called that. Maybe it has something to do with the grandfather, something that happened with him. We'll see about that later on. Meanwhile, Liko and Roy are kidnapped by the same Pokemon. They end up finding them, with Freed coming to save them, and Liko and Freed going on their merry way. First they end up giving the Pokemon more food, and then they go. But Roy doesn't join up with them just yet. Then we see the explorers. They're still on the move. Amethio is talking to Amber, who's revealed in this episode, about, he wants to settle this quick with their next meeting. They want to know more about the pendant, with them running to report to their boss named Gideon. He's revealed in this episode, but obviously he's not shown just yet. We'll probably see him later, maybe next episode. I'm not sure, but maybe, since that's their next confrontation, he might be seen there. This is where the episode ends, basically. So overall, I like this episode. I like Roy's introduction. I relate to him being a kid who's never been out before. A kid who's hungry. He wants to get out. He wants to see everything. He wants to go out and be a trainer. He wants to be like the explorers not them. He wants to be like the trainers that his grandfather told him about, all those stories, all those travelers. He wants to be like that. I like that. Kind of reminds me of Ash being eager to go on an adventure. And I like, this is basically like a build up episode. I like all the information they're giving out. It's building up this stuff. A lot of information is being planted right now. So we're building up to something big, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see how they handle it, how they handle all these plot points. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next confrontation between the explorers and the Volt Tacklers. That's going to be in next episode. That's what's happening next. And also, I think Roy will join up with them next episode also. So next episode is going to be a big one. A few other things. This is also Masaki Iwane's debut in this series. He's my favorite animator. All of his episodes are always animated good, and he's also fast. Like he's gonna be in another like a good 6 or 7 episodes to be back. And his animation's always good. It's always lively. It always brightens up an episode when it's him. I always look forward to him. As always, I love his animation in this episode. And also Nito thing. Basically, she's just like Pokemon exposition right now. So basically, she tells you stuff about Pokemon, tells the new kiddies about, basic Pokemon stuff. Like this episode, she was talking about like Pokemon battling, catching Pokemon, stuff like that. How do you do it? So that's basically what it looks like she's going to be mostly. But I heard that she will be introduced formally in the series soon. Like she'll actually appear maybe physically and not just be exposition. So, and the school, they're doing online school now. She's on the ship now, so she's gonna be doing online school, and it kind of makes me wonder like why even bother with the school anyway in the first place. Like it's not really like it was only there for like 2 episodes. Now she's gone, so I mean, it's like why even bother with it? But that's just a minor gripe. Like it's not really that serious. So next week I'm excited. We'll see their next confrontation. I'm especially excited to see the Pokeball and their pendant. I think they're connected, so I'm excited to see where that goes. And I'm excited to see how the next confrontation will go. They want to settle it now. Like they want to get it done now. The explorers want to get it done now. They want to get the job done. So we're going to see what happens there. The next episode, if I had to give this episode a rating first, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. I really liked this episode. I liked it. So next week next week the episode is titled I Found You Fue Coco. It's airing next week. So next week, that's my review for this episode. The Treasure That Washed Ashore. Next week is titled I Found You Fue Coco. So that's my review. I'll be back next week to review that one. So I'll see you then. That's all for me today. So, see ya. That's all for me.